Jeez, because.
All right. Let's call the November 11th City Commissioner meeting to order. It is also, what is today? Veterans Day?
Veterans Day.
Yes.
Congratulations to everybody, and thank you for all the veterans that have served this country.
That's very true.
All right, let's start out with the roll call.
Herman McNair, Commissioner.
Brian Walker, Mayor.
Nicole Fehrenbaugh, City Clerk.
Shane Turnbull, water operator.
All right. Public comment. I don't see that we have any public comment tonight. Everybody must be,
Recuperating?
yep. Consent agenda. We have this every month to pay the bills and approve the minutes. Norma, do you have a chance to cruise over
Yeah, I
everything?
did. I looked them up, and when she was going through them, yeah, that's. I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
I'll second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we have approved the bills and approved the minutes for the consent agenda. Commissioner reports. Norma?
The only thing I had, and I thought we might maybe put this up on the door or whatever, it was when I was looking at my Lane Scott stuff the other day, and they had the cold winter, what the rules are,
Okay.
you know, if somebody did, so I just made a copy of it, and I thought maybe we would like to put it on the board.
Did that come in the bill?
No, it was on their newsletter.
Oh,
It was in their newsletter.
Okay.
That's where I seen it. So I just thought, you know, sometimes people, it just kind of clarifies if they're questioning, or if somebody calls you, you can
Right.
actually look at it and say, well, this is what Lane Scott says, you know, if somebody would ask. But I just thought, we've never done it before, and I was kind of looking through there, and I thought, I can remember some tough times in my life, and maybe people need to know that, and how they set it up, you know, to make the payments if they
Right.
do, and so. I just thought that was kind of neat, so.
I will do that. I will hang that on the door.
Other than that, I really don't have anything I can remember.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's probably good knowledge that everybody needs to see. Mayor's report. I guess the only thing I needed to touch on was that our code enforcer resigned this month, so we probably need to search for another code enforcer. Otherwise, it doesn't do any good to have that big stack of resolutions. So, we need to think about who we want to look at, or if anybody has any names. I've received a name of somebody that already kind of has that job in other communities.
And it doesn't have to be anybody that lives in city limits, so.
Probably better if it isn't.
It would, well, in some ways, yeah, it is, because I get that, you know. We get that when you live here, but it could be either or. No, I don't know anyone myself.
Well, we'll just keep that kind of open and probably revisit that next month. Other than that, it was a cold, wet opening weekend for pheasant season.
Yeah, it was.
Let's go through the clerk report.
I really don't have anything except for I just attended my 3rd year of the Institute, and I've got 1 more year left before I'm certified.
Now remind us what certification that is.
It's the Certified Municipal Clerk is what it will be. I'll be certified through the CCNFAO, which is the City Clerk and Municipal Finance Officer Association.
That's a mouthful.
But
Right.
that sounds
It's,
important.
I mean, it's like, you want your certification because you can it's invaluable for a city clerk, really. It's where I've learned everything that I've gotten. I'm on that listserv that I could ask questions for through that association. And it's just, then after that, I can go for my MMC, which would be the master clerk, master municipal clerk, which I don't know that I'll do that, because that's a lot. You have to go in front of like the legislature and stuff, and I just don't know if I can. Yeah, you have to give a speech in front of them. I mean, that's kind of what we did at this last thing. We each got a group of 6 girls, and we all had fake scenarios, and we had to get up in front of the whole class and a board full of people. These were from City of Wichita City Council members, and they judged us, and we get the results back in 45 days. But we had to come up with speeches that were 15 minutes long to give to the class, and then answer questions about a scenario that didn't really mean anything to us because it was a made-up scenario. So we had to really study that, and we had 2 days to get it all finished and give the presentation the last day. Yeah, it was difficult. It brought you out of your shell if you were shy.
Good. Well, good.
But it just was trying to teach us how to handle things like that were given to you spur of the moment, and how to talk to people, how to deal with questions that you're asked, and how to handle public comments, and what to tell the public when things go wrong, how to handle that. So it was really, it was a good thing to take. It was just scary, but it's over now.
Good. Good. I'm glad you got that 3rd year out of the way, and that you learned something from it.
Right.
Well, and the amazing part is, in all the years that I'm aware in McCracken, we have never had a person that ever went full boat like that. Georgie took some classes because she had told me that she had taken some, and she was kind of one that I fell back on and things, but that was the only one that I even know of that ever really took any classes or pursued something.
And it had just so happened that I started my first year right when this was getting ready to start, and so that's why I got on right away to take that first year. And I don't know what I would have done without that first year, because they taught you a lot of the basics of being a city clerk, and I had no clue what I was doing when I first started this
And none
job.
of us did.
I literally was clueless about what to do. And now I've got a group of friends that are city clerks, and we've all got our personal phone numbers. I could text them
You can
anytime.
run things
I
through
trust their opinion over pretty much anybody's opinion. Like on their listserv, I know that they're going to give me the answers because one of them has dealt with something similar in every situation.
Right.
And then sometimes it makes you feel better because you're like, oh, if you hear about their situations, you're like, maybe ours isn't so bad. So it makes you feel
This
better
is
that
true.
way. Yeah, because there's been a lot worse going on in other towns than there ever has been here. So it's nice to have that.
Awesome.
That's great.
And thank you. I'm glad we picked you. And thank you for pursuing that, because like you said,
It really has been helpful. And it teaches you other things, like not just finance or things like that. It teaches you how to let things slide off,
Yes.
not be offended
Not
by
take it.
Yeah, not take anything personally, and that's been helpful because that happens a lot. Like I said, nobody ever usually calls me because they want to tell me what a good job I'm doing.
that doesn't happen for most of us. I had a friend that he had been on the city council for many, many years in another town, actually. And when I came on, he says, I just want to let you know, don't think that it's a great popularity thing. He says, the only thing it is, he says, most people won't like you.
That's been true.
And I says, I wasn't going into anything thinking that I was making great friends. It was just to be public servant for everyone, but yeah. So,
That's exactly what we are.
Yes.
We're public servants.
yes.
It made me appreciate all the people that I've known in my life that have ever been in local government that I had no respect for, and I do now.
Yeah.
Because you just don't realize how hard it is for no thanks at all.
Yeah. And it really does give you, it gave me a whole different perspective from sitting out there to coming in here. And I have learned tremendously on here. And I just think it's it's been a great, if I was probably a lot younger, I probably would have stayed really into some part of politically, because it kind of gets in your skin. It does. But yeah, I have learned tons and tons on here, and things that I used to be the person out there and say, well, I don't know why they don't do this. I do know now why they do that, you know. And it's, and I will say, because I guess kind of going back, one of the things that a couple of things that I would suggest maybe you guys think about, because it's going to be a different different councils, is maybe bringing a junior person on, a high school student that just comes and they're not in a voting situation, but they're a part and could maybe, I think it would help us
They do
to
encourage
maybe
that.
get some of the younger kids interested, whether they ever stay living here or they go other places, to where they might see how government really runs. And I think it would be a great idea to bring one of our young people in, and
Hopefully
they
it
just
doesn't
give
scare them away from government.
yeah, good, but whatever. But I've been thinking about that the last week or so, and
They do
what-
encourage that, to bring younger people in and get younger people interested in
just
government.
to learn the mechanics, I guess, of what goes on. And I think that would maybe bring younger people then, when they are able to run, to want to run. So that is kind of one of my suggestions, and I had something else and I can't remember now what it was. But when I think of it, I'll let you know. But I just think we do need to work to get an interest out, And I have one grandson that's very political. In fact, he's almost a little too much. But I mean, that's kind of what spurred me on. Where can they fit in until they can come to that place? And then usually what happens, they're at that place, and then I don't want to do that. I don't want any part of it. And a lot of it's because they really don't understand it, I think.
That's true.
So, because I didn't know a lot of this stuff, almost all of it, I didn't understand. And I understand now why government works so extremely slow. Because everything has a process. And it is hard and I will say it's hard when you're sitting out there and you'd like to see some things done, but if you understand the process, you're a little more apt to be a little more patient with it. That's my 2 cents worth.
Those are good suggestions. And there's a lot of organizations, not even political organizations, that have junior members in the hopes to bring up the next.
Well, I know
next
they do
generation.
it in the, like Lane Scott, the electrical. I know, because I had a girl that was in my church out there that now she's married, and she is an agriculture, she goes to the legislator and does a lot of things through the agricultural side of it with her dad and her. And it started out with her being a junior person within that. And that's kind of what I was thinking. I'd seen her on Facebook this week, and I was like, man, I'm so proud of her for all the accomplishments that she had done. And that would have never transpired had she have not had that input put in. So it kind of made me think about on ours, what could we do to maybe interest more people to want to be and to be on this side. It's more than just sitting there and saying, I want this, I want that. It's just learning to work together and make a difference overall. What's the best of the greater good of what's going on. So that's why it triggered me.
Those are good thoughts. We do need to talk more about that. See if that's something we can get rolling. Thank you, Norma.
Mm-hmm.
She's right though, it starts out there.
Yeah.
That's where it started for me.
Yes, it did.
I got all the meters put in,
I
down to, I need a list to remember.
know, I need to make the list. I will do that today.
But the billing program, not so well done. It's giving us a little grief. We'll figure it out.
You'll get there.
Well, I found out why they weren't transferring over is because the new accounts that we have, and we haven't had new accounts for a while until recently, they put 3 extra numbers in them. So it was throwing off the software because they were supposed to add zeros onto all the old account numbers, but it didn't. So that was what it was the whole entire time on that part. And then I was left alone with the tablet, and I pushed something, and I don't know how to get it undone. So we have to get a hold of Preston again. He's the one that was putting it all in place in the first place, and it took him like 5 minutes. So I think I'm 5 minutes away from having it all taken care of finally. But I did send out bills because I mean we can still read the meters, and so I did send out bills, for the last month. I think I've got a couple more that I need to send out, but I was just waiting to see if he had actually changed the meters on those yet. But I'm keeping track of it, and it's all going to happen.
Yeah,
And Shane,
it's
he
coming
was correct. He was very correct in the church one. We need to do something that we put a guard around it because it's already broke.
Yeah, I seen that.
So we did, totally fine. Whatever we can come up with that we need to put there, or we need to make some kind of little metal,
So it did break.
yeah, so they can't drive over the top
Right.
of
Yeah,
it.
it needs something recessed in the lid.
Yeah, or, yeah, that would make a difference too. But I did want to tell you, I did notice that,
Yeah, I've seen
a
that.
couple weeks ago, and
It wasn't
I-
the first to go.
No, I know it wasn't, but at the same token, that one was, you questioned it right away, and rightfully so.
I
So-
asked them, and they said no, they should hold up. But
Yeah. Preston said, "Oh, the sensors are sturdy." They're fine. It's the little plastic things that hold the sensors in the lid.
Yeah, so I did want you to notice that, I did notice that on there. We can put whatever you think we need to make to put
It's a
around.
constant thought in the back of my mind.
Yeah. And I'll help you with anything on that if you need be.
I mean, they say that it's going to make everybody's life so much better, and I think it will end up eventually making everything so
Oh, I
much better.
Not
I mean,
eventually, very soon.
the
It's like
leak detection,
anything.
we need that, and it's just in more accurate readings so that it won't ever be wrong.
Right.
And
Because we
it
won't
will
have
be
to-
nice, but it's the getting there has been
Yes,
it's been difficult.
It's a walk. That's for
Well,
sure.
and I learned that this software is brand new for them too. So not only our software company, like for our finance part of it, is brand new. The meters are all brand new for their software as well. So it's like trying to get 2 softwares to talk to each other that are just new and they don't have all the
Right.
kinks worked out of them. And so that's what we got put in on, which is, I mean, I'm not
We'll get
surprised.
there. We'll get
I'm not surprised, but at least we're gonna set the stage for everybody else to be able to
Yep.
like nicely slide into their
Somebody
new
has
software.
to be the first.
Right. And I think they're using us because we're small enough to where it's not so hard to find the mistakes and the glitches as it would be a bigger city.
That's a good
Oh,
point.
yeah.
So I think that's why they're using, because I couldn't understand why they would do that to us because we are so little, but I think that's why they're doing it, because it's easier to find.
I think you're
Where it goes wrong.
absolutely right. Yeah, I do.
But that's just my opinion. They didn't tell me that because they don't ever tell you anything like that.
I think that's about it for me.
And you worked on the sign.
Yeah,
And we'll get the rest of the sign tacked up whenever we
I got days off.
have time.
The next couple days off.
Okay. Well, give me a shout.
Okay.
All right. Old business. Last month we talked about and voted on a change in the water bills. We changed the base rate from 22 to 25, and so we had to write up a new water ordinance to get that in the books.
And I also, you guys didn't mention it, but the commercial use was already 25, so I bumped it up to 30 because if we were bumping them up $5, that would be, but we only have like 3 commercial accounts. It's not like it. But we've always charged $5 more for commercial use and then $1 more on the 1,000 gallons. So I just bumped that up to match what you guys had decided on that.
Okay.
And the 10% late fee, because we decided, yeah, but that's in there now.
So yeah, it needs to be, we need to be careful how we word that. So it's $10 or 10% over 100 is how it should read.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're reducing the
Right.
late fee if it's.
Okay, I
50
wondered
cents.
about that.
Yeah.
All right, so I can change the wording there. Because this won't go in effect till 2020. I thought we could just do it 2025 for the new year.
That's fine.
So we could work on it until then, so I'll
That's fine.
change that.
Yeah, so it's a $10 late fee and it goes to 10% over $100.
Okay. I'll find good word
And
words for
that
that.
kind of stages as people get more out of bounds.
Right.
It makes it hurt a little worse.
Right. I will change that. Did you see anything else that needed to be?
Not off the top of my
Okay,
head.
I just kind of copied off. I used 2 old ordinances to make this one.
Mhm. I think the rest of it read pretty good.
Okay, I will change that, and then I'll have that ready next meeting.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Oh, yeah, because I couldn't just do a resolution. I did find that out. You have to do it by ordinance. So,
Okay. All right, we'll get that squared away and get the final next month, next meeting. New business. We've got a franchise agreement with Lane Scott that it's time to renew, and it doesn't end or come to an end until 2025. But the Lane Scott people came by and saw you and kind of gave us this new franchise agreement. We've all had a chance to kind of glance at it, but we want to run it by.
well, this is our old one, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did he drop off a new one?
No, he did not. He said that he thought we would write the new one up, and then they would just agree to it if.
Okay.
This
So-
is, because this is under Aquila. That's been a long time since it's been called Aquila. He said that's what it was called when we started this. It wasn't Lane Scott at the time.
I think they changed about 15 years ago.
Yeah, so that's why it was under Aquila, but he said it just, when they switched the names, owners, whatever, that
Right.
it just,
It was the
Carried
coal
over.
company that went to Lane Scott.
Yeah, that's why it
They
says
bought
that.
them out.
Okay. All right. So we need to go through this and make any changes.
Right.
yeah, he said you might want to just clean it up a little bit, so,
Okay. So we'll
Do we have to stay within their terms on that?
no, we can ask them whatever, and like I said, most Kansas is 5%, and they're all talking about going to 6%.
No, I'm talking about the term time.
Oh, the time, we can
That's
change
when
that too, he said we can change the
also
length.
change
Because
that?
he thought it would only be 10 years, he said, no,
I just-
5 years.
I just think this is a.
Yeah, he was
extremely
surprised to
long.
see it this long go on, he said this is the longest one that he had.
Yeah. So
But I put his
think we
business
do
card
need
too,
to-
if you guys, but he said he'd come to
Look
as
at that
many
one.
meetings as we needed him to, and he'd answer any questions. He was really nice. And that's all he does, I believe, is just franchise agreements, so.
Probably just in there.
remember his name.
I've got his business card in my car, I can grab it.
Okay. Okay.
Actually,
Yeah, the 20-year thing is
That's a
pretty
bit
long.
stretch.
Pretty long.
Long
I think-
stretch. Because I'd rather see us, quite honestly, just like we talked about the water, a little let up, because that does affect everybody, rather than making a big jump to go with this span.
Right, and if the, cost of living changes, it's gonna change a
Right.
little bit in 20 years,
Yeah,
so.
so I'm thinking we really need to change that to either
Yeah,
5 or
his-
10 years, but.
His name is Richard McLeon. That's his name.
Well, we'll do some, we'll all
Yeah,
look
go
over
through
this
that.
and scratch on it. Scratch through what doesn't look good, make some changes, make some suggestions, and see if we can, like he said, clean it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that is good information that you looked at what some of these other franchise.
I
fees.
actually learned that at my institute. That was what was one of the
So
things
you
we
agree?
talked about.
That's why you go to
It
those.
is.
Yeah,
Money well spent.
He did, he said, just you gotta, when you're raising those rates, he said you gotta watch, cause it's also gonna make your city building and your city light, all those rates are gonna go up too. So he said you gotta watch that, cause it's gonna cost you a little bit as well as make, you know, he said you just gotta balance it out and see if it's worth raising it and that's, yeah, that's.
That's why I'm saying
City
that.
of Bel Air is the guy that did the class on that. And he had a really neat thing that he had set up to where you could just punch in the numbers and it would figure it for you, but we don't have that. And I'm not smart enough to do that.
You can't build a spreadsheet?
No, not like that, no.
They didn't teach that, man. That's the fourth year?
Yeah, that might be the
You
point.
know, I tried to learn it, but you just can't learn something like that in 15 minutes.
It's kind of like when we go to those budget meetings.
Right.
All right, we'll, let's put this, we'll talk about this again next month.
On her old business?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the other new business is Bunko at the community building.
And what that is the ladies stopped me years ago, well, I'll say years, maybe
Like
3 years ago, I'm just gonna say about 4 years ago. They used to do Bunko once a month, usually on a Monday night, and they picked like whichever Monday, and then they would do Bunko or Tuesday. And, we just always let them do, or they was just always let to do that. And they asked me about it, and I says, you know what, I can't just make that decision for you, but I'll bring it up and see if the others are okay with it. It does get a lot of them together. We had it one time where we had about 30 people that came to it, so it was
No, I think that would be an excellent
a nice
addition.
community thing. And I told them, I said, I don't really see that there's a big problem, but I said, I'll throw it by, and then they can work it out with Nicole.
Right, we've got that key lockbox, so I can just put a key there and give them a code, and
Yeah.
they can get it out whenever they need to.
And they can work with you on the dates
Mhm.
and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I think
That was basically what they was asking me, and since they haven't done it for so many years here, I was kind of excited if they wanted to get it back up and do it. So.
I think that's what this.
It's a night, and it's just through the winter. They usually done it just the winter months, like maybe in April, March, then they kind of quit because everybody's doing yard work and things, but even if they did go on, just so you know.
I think that'd be a great addition.
All right,
Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I will second. All in favor?
Yes.
We are adjourned.
All right.